All right, everybody, welcome. You made it to Module 2. That means, A, you liked me enough from the Meet Kate video in Module 1 to keep on listening, and 2, you listened to the video about what it takes to be a social media manager and what a social media manager does, and congratulations that you feel qualified to accomplish that. So here you are in Module 2 and ready to get into the real work of starting your business. And the first thing that we are going to talk about here in Module 2, and actually what Module 2 is all about, is branding you. Branding your business and how to set everything up. And the good news about this module is you're kind of learning two things at once. One is you're learning what it takes to create a brand for yourself, and how to set that up online so that people can find you and communicate with you and do business with you. But where it kind of, kills two birds with one stone is that this process and this work will be the same work that you will do for your clients. So every time I get a new client, we review their branding so that I fully understand it, and I make sure that everything is set up out in the social media space and on their web presence to fully communicate what they are up to in their business, what their products and services are. So right now you should be listening to this video and this whole entire module for yourself and your social media manager business. However, it would be a good idea for you to go back through a second time when you have your first client, or when you're ready to start, after you've set all of your stuff up and you're ready to start practicing for that very first client. It would be good to come back and listen to everything all over again from the perspective of a potential client. So to keep that in mind, make a note of that so that when you do have that very first client, that you know where to get started in talking about what they're up to in their business and how you can help them communicate that online. So let's see here. The game plan for this module is going to be about, again, creating your brand, setting up your website, creating all of your social media profiles, and just the beginning stages of how to get started connecting and finding those first audience members that you want, those first people that you want to connect with. Now, I go more into connecting and building your audience in the implementation module, so I'm just going to talk about it very briefly in this module, enough to just kind of get you started the first day after you set up your Twitter account, what the very first thing you want to do to follow a few people. But again, we're going to go more in depth in following and unfollowing and audience building over there in the implementation module, okay? So here's the thing. When you're getting started creating your brand, the first thing that you want to do is actually use your brain a little bit. You want to do some brainstorming. And the things that you're going to think about are going to be, what audience do you want to speak to? What problems do they have? What solutions can you provide? How can you communicate that to them through messaging and storytelling? And what's the unique selling proposition that sets your business apart from all the other competitors out there, all the other service providers and social media managers that are out there? So that's going to be the first thing that you're going to do. Now, don't forget, this is an overview video, and then the demonstration videos are below this. So in this video, I'm just going to tell you the different components and what they mean, and then you're going to get an in-depth discussion about each of these things in the demonstration videos below. And I have a special guest coming on to talk about these 5 concerns on our branding video 1. So look forward to that when you're done, with this overview video. The second thing that you need to consider is, are you branding you, or are you branding your service or your business? This is a critical choice, and it's critical that you make it early. It's about whether or not you want to be a personal brand or a product brand. Now, you may have no idea what I mean by this, so I'm going to give you a quick example. If I'm using myself as an example here, my personal brand is Kate Buck. My personal brand also has morphed into Kate Buck Jr. because I added that to distinguish myself from the other Kate Buck and Kathleen Buck that were out on the interwebs. But if I wanted to brand myself as a product or service, then I would more position myself with the usernames and the URLs KBJ Online, because that is the name of my business. Now, I have an entire booklet for you to download on branding, personal branding versus business branding. And in that, we give you some examples of both types of brands. I will tell you that this is probably the number one question that I get asked by new social media managers is which one should they choose? And the answer is it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So, Richard Branson is a personal brand, but he runs a business called Virgin, right? Virgin America, and it even has several divisions: Virgin America, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Mobile, and on and on. So Richard Branson can choose to blog under the name Richard Branson on like richardbranson.com. Or he could choose to blog and have all of his usernames and everything point to his business, which is Virgin. There's pros and cons to each. With the personal brand, it kind of goes with you wherever you go, and as you morph as a business owner and as you grow as a business owner, and if you ever decide to change direction or do something different or add a new product or service or become an author or all of these things, a personal brand is a great and very flexible brand to have because you're a human being and you are allowed to grow and change and morph. And so a personal brand is really allowed to grow, change, and morph. A product brand doesn't have that same flexibility, okay? A business, if it reinvents itself and rebrands itself as offering new products and services or a new design to the company or how it runs, it's usually kind of a big ordeal to sort of relaunch that out to the community. But the benefit of having a product brand is that it's a more of a sellable asset. Another example of kind of this personal brand and where the sellable assets come in is, there's this story when people talk about personal branding where they talk about a guy named Tony Robbins. You may have heard of Tony Robbins, and he has a company that puts on personal development seminars around the country and around the world. And at one point in time, Tony wanted to sell off a piece of his company, and one of the things that was a problem for him was that if he sold off part of his company and he was no longer a part of it, then the Tony Robbins brand did not have as much value with, Kate Buck as the new face of it, right? So that's something that you want to consider. There really is no right answer, and I know you're going to ask me these questions as soon as you possibly can. Which is the right one? Which one should you go with? You may already have some profiles set up right now. You may already have a business name. You may have some other businesses that you want to keep growing, and then you want to add the social media manager business. So what you really want to do is you want to look at whatever those circumstances are that you have and where you want to go in the future. As actually the most important thing you want to look at is where do you want to be in the future and how do you want your business to be known in the future, and that will help you decide if you want to be a personal brand or a product brand. And again, we cover more of these in the branding handout, so you want to read through that, download that and read through that as well, okay? So the components of your killer brand, once you've done the brainstorming and you've decided whether you're going to be personal brand or business brand, you want to start thinking about what your business name might be and what maybe your tagline might be. Your tagline is going to explain a little bit better about what that problem is that you solve, or something about your products and services that explains the problem that you solve. Your name is also going to be a factor in what domain or what URL you grab for your website address. And it also makes a difference in all of your social media profile usernames. What username you have on Twitter, what username you have on Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on will all be decided along the path of coming up, along the time that you're doing all this branding research for yourself. Also, you'll want to think about your consistent color choices, and consistent color choices is something that is very important to branding because human beings are very visual, and so your colors communicate something to the audience that you're speaking to. The voice that you're going to use in your written communications, everything from your biography to how you write the blurbs about your products and services and you describe them, even down to your blog posts and your social media status updates. The voice is going to be determined by the audience that you're speaking to. What's the voice that they're expecting? What's the voice that they're most responsive to? B, are you a product brand or a service brand? And, so what's the tone of your voice going to be? Are you funny? Are you warm and friendly? Are you professional? Are you sarcastic? Are you entertaining? All of these different tones and voices are something that you should think about. How do you want people to know you? How do you want people to hear you when you speak? And, so this is important in how you're going to communicate. Whether you decide to be a personal brand or a business brand, people want to do business with other people. Nobody wants to do business with a logo or an inanimate object like a business. They want to do business with people. So no matter what you decide, you'll need a really great headshot or photo of yourself to use in your marketing materials. And you'll want to get some graphics created for a logo for your website. And all of these will incorporate those consistent color choices that you've made. And you'll want to create a logo that somehow communicates back to that USP and that tagline that you created back to what problem do you solve for people. Okay? So those are the main components of a killer brand that you're going to be creating for your business. And you'll also be using this in your other marketing materials. A lot of people say that they're outdated, but I disagree. I think you'll need, a small set, not a huge set, but a small set of business cards to take around with you for different networking events and conferences and seminars that you might be attending, or to client meetings. You may also see, as you'll see later in the training, some flyers, some PowerPoint presentations that you might take to do client presentations with. Even for me, it goes down to my cell phone cases, the skin that I use on my laptop, t-shirts that I have made. So a lot of my marketing materials are sort of non-traditional, and they all, even the color of my hair, how about that? They're all kind of non-traditional, but they all come from the place of trying to communicate a consistent message through my branding. So the thing that I want to encourage you to do is to dare to be a little bit different. And, I put this picture of myself up here because I think that that's one thing that has really helped me, is that whether I did on purpose or whether I just kind of accidentally put the pieces together of that killer brand, all of those components or pieces, I really do stand out in the market. I am different than other social media experts, but in my story that I tell, in the value that I provide to my clients, how I package my products and services, where my particular expertise is, the fact that I'm not afraid to stand out and be that non-traditional person that has funky hair color and a cell phone case to match and wears t-shirts with my branding on them. I have everything in pink, from my toenails, and pink is not even my favorite color. But I'm not telling everyone to go out and get pink hair, but there really is something that you need to decide is the thing that's different about you, and really use that to your advantage in what could be a crowded and noisy marketplace, something that is something that is a very traditional brand could, you won't be noticed. You'll be invisible amongst all the noise. So I challenge you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and dare to be different. On that note, we talked a minute ago, one of those components were color and style. So you definitely want to give some thought to what the different colors mean, because your color and style really needs to be an expression of you and your business. You want, of course, eye-appealing, is that a word? Appealing and attractive colors. You're going to use these in your logo. You're going to use these in those graphics, and you're going to use them on your website. You want to pick colors that you can live a long time with. Like I mentioned, pink is not my favorite color, but I really do like the way that it looks in contrast to black and white. I love black and white and even gray and other monochrome kind of tones, and then one really bold color to create contrast. So pick something that you can live with long term. And then, we're going to talk later in the training about how to find a website theme that has a good layout and uses or has the ability to incorporate those colors that you pick. Now, your killer brand needs to tell a story. And again, we're going to talk about that in the video, branding video 1. But some of the ways that you can easily communicate that via your social media profiles is thinking about things like, what are your favorite movies, music, food, cultural events? Or do you like art? Do you like dance? Do you like documentaries? Do you like action movies? What relationship does your brand have to pop culture, and what story can you tell about why are you relevant in the marketplace? You'll want to download the Branding You checklist that goes along with the Branding Video 1 and the Detailed Branding Video 2 that you're going to watch after this one. So that's just a little tip, is that Branding You checklist will help guide you through Branding Video 1 and 2. So once you've done the brainstorming about your brand and you've asked yourself all the important questions, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick several names, because what happens when we only pick one name is that oftentimes we become attached to that being our name. We think it's the only name that we can come up with. And then when we go out to do some research and verify that the domain name is available and that the usernames are available on all the different social media platforms, what we find is that they're unfortunately not. They may not be. The domain name may not be available, or the usernames may be taken in various forms on the various platforms. So actually, I recommend that you come up with at least 3. The more, the better. If you can come up with 10 that you like, and you can prioritize those, then you can begin to go out and do some research into seeing which ones. You can go out and see which ones are available. And again, I'm going to show you how to do that in the demo videos. So you're going to search for, again, both your domain name and your name on the social media accounts. And you want to try to keep it as consistent as possible. For instance, I am Kate Buck Jr. or KBJ Online on all my social media profiles and my websites. Now, once you've done that and before you get started, I just want to give you a quick reminder that you want to set all this stuff up. We're going to talk about setting up your blog, and we're going to talk about setting up your social media profiles now that you've done the work to brand yourself and you've found a name that's available. But one thing you want to think about is that everything you do from now on is a demonstration of the services that you would provide to your clients. So you are always a demonstration of your work. So at this point, you really need to make sure that you are doing everything at your highest level, and that you are always a demonstration. Every time somebody looks at what you're doing, they see that that's the same quality craftsmanship that you would provide them if they were your client. Now, we'll probably get you started here with your blog and your website. And we use a service called WordPress. Now, if you just go out and search WordPress, you're probably going to run into WordPress.com. But that is not what we are going to be using. So please do not, right now, do not set up a WordPress.com account. We are actually going to set up a self-hosted blog using the WordPress software. And if that sounds a little confusing to you, don't worry about it. I'm going to fully explain in the demo videos below. But you're going to need to grab your domain name. You're going to need to get some hosting. And then you're going to install the WordPress software and create your additional pages on your website. It sounds complicated, but I promise you it's not. And you'll likely get it done in a very short amount of time. You could probably even get it done in about an hour if you're really, really diligent, okay? Now, the two most important things that you need on your blog, in addition to that design with your logo and your messaging, is you're going to need to display links to all your social media profiles. I'm sure you've seen them when you go onto websites. There's the little icons for Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, whatever, that say connect with me on these social sites. And the second thing that you're going to want to do is start to create some content, some informational posts, 2 to 3 blog posts that you can use to launch your blog. The next thing that you're going to go out and do is set up your social media profiles. Now, we talked about checking to make sure that domain names and usernames were available, but this is the time where once you've determined that they're available, you're actually going to, and you've picked the one that you're going to use, you're actually going to go back and set it up. You want to fill out each profile completely, including your bio, a link to your website, and that photo that we talked about before. And then you want to customize it with professionally branded graphics. Again, if you're feeling overwhelmed from what I'm saying, I just want to remind you that we were going to go into depth about this detail in the demo videos below. So this is a time for you just to kind of get the outline of what you're going to be learning in the rest of this module. The last thing we said we were going to talk about is how to start connecting. And remember, this is baseline connecting. So we're going to go more into connecting and audience building over in the implementation module. But you want to go ahead once your profiles are set up and start connecting with your current contacts. You can sync your email address book to see what emails you have in your contact list that have profiles on a certain social media profile on almost all the sites, okay? And you can find new people on Twitter using Twello and WeFollow. These are search directories where you can type in different topics or different locations and find people and a link to their Twitter account that are in that are related to your search, whatever search keywords or key phrases or location that you put in. You can find some new Facebook and LinkedIn friends using suggested friends, but don't go hog wild here, because sometimes if you add too many of these people, even though they're showing them to you, sometimes you have the platforms have a tendency to slap you on your hand if you go a little too hog wild, and they'll kind of put you in timeout where you can't add anybody for a day or so, okay? But pay attention to the top tweeters and the top social media people in your area. You'll be able to see those. For instance, if I searched on Twillo for Austin, I would find a list of people in Austin that are on Twitter, and they would be in order of the most popular people that have the most followers first, and going on down to the people with the least amount of followers. Another way to find top tweeters is to use a site called Klout, Klout. And if you go to Klout, you can use, again, search by topic or location and find the top social media people in your area or in your topic. You want to follow these people and keep tabs on what they do. You want to connect with them, share their content, and start conversations with them. Start to get to know them. This is the time for you to break the ice and start getting known by the people who are in your industry and the people who are in your area. Now, when it comes to marketing yourself, the things that you can do are share those blog posts that you wrote. Whoops. I hit the wrong button there. You can share interesting news or blog posts that you read from other people. You can share funny or inspirational messages. People love those. You can ask open-ended questions. I also find multiple choice and fill-in-the-blank questions to be very engaging, where you'll get a lot of response from those. You want to comment or reply on other people's updates. But the bottom line is that you always want to come from this place. You want to be interested and interesting. And it says on here, be interesting and interested, but I actually recommend, I should have probably fixed that and put it the other way. You really want to be interested in other people first, but definitely make sure that you are interesting to other people as well. Now, here's the thing. Do not claim to be a guru. This is a big faux pas in social media. This claiming to be a guru or an expert or a ninja in social media is basically like branding suicide. So, don't claim to be the person who knows everything. What you really want to do is stick to what you know. Talk about what you do know how to do, what you're good at, what you're confident in, and don't try to be somebody else, somebody that you're not, okay? As long as you're helpful to people, and that's your intention, and that you're not always trying to push your marketing, push your products and push your services, and you're not always trying to sell people on why you're so awesome, but instead be helpful to them, you'll have no problem succeeding in your social media manager business. A reminder that you're the demonstration. So once again, you want to be active, active, active. You don't want to leave any social media account of yours sit dormant for too long, as a potential customer might find it and then think that you're unprofessional and don't know what you're doing. So as you begin to grow your network, I encourage you to never stop developing your relationships. Stay top of mind with people. We'll talk about some organizational strategies to put different people into groups or lists that you can follow and manage your different contacts so that you can actually get to know them better than you know them now. And all of that will lead to a sale or a customer or a connection that you needed, an introduction that you needed, or a potential business partner, or you never know what. It might lead to it tomorrow. It might lead to it next week, next month, or next year. So you always want to be open for those opportunities and looking for them. And then, what there really is to do is keep learning and keep practicing. Keep up with the most current news about social media. Keep up with the most current news about social media. What's the latest tips, tricks, tools, and software sites? And I'm going to help you do that through Let's Get Social. You want to set up maybe some test accounts as well, where you can play around and try new things that won't show up on your profile in case for some reason they don't work and it ends up not being something that you want to implement for yourself and your clients. I use little test accounts. So that's just a little tip there from me to you. But make sure that you're always sharing cool stuff that you learned from, stuff that you found value in, and stuff that you think your audience and the people that are following you would also find value in. So that's your overview on branding you and what we're going to talk about for the rest of this module. You're on your way and you're ready to get started, get branding. So the next thing to do is, get out your notepad and watch branding video 1, where we're going to talk about your targeted audience, your unique selling proposition, your messaging, and the problems that your market has and the solutions that you provide.